Hey, it's your boy Boba. Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk some Elden Ring. What we're jumping into today is a 70+ hour Elden Ring impressions playthrough. And let me tell you, with that amount of time, I'm actually nowhere near completion. So if you're on the fence and yet to get into a Souls game, hopefully I can help you out. Maybe you're thinking, is it really that good? Is the hype legit? Well, let me preface my thoughts by saying I've had a few attempts at Souls games in the past, and I could never get into them. So let's get into it. Elden Ring is a third-person action RPG created by Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin. This new world they created is referred to as the Lands Between, where this Elden Ring has been shattered, which has led to a world of conflict, divided and held by 6 demigods. That's where we step in as one of the Tarnished, tasked with finding those shards and claiming that Elden Lordship. Before you're thrown in the world, you're given plenty of choices to define your playstyle, with a decent character creation setup which includes choosing a base character and various stats and weapons to start with. Or you can choose the Wretch with no discernible stats and just whitey-tidies and a stick. So after locking that in, you're instantly reminded that this game is merciless as you meet your first boss within the first few minutes. And he destroys you with a single hit, knocking you into what serves as a tutorial area. But once working through all those, learning the basics, it's once you step foot outside that first cave that the game really starts drawing you in. Well, aside from what is most likely the first NPC you'll see on horseback, the dreaded Tree Sentinel. So within an hour of launch, me and a few mates joined up, and after comparing our rigs, while equipping our gear back on, well, the Tree Sentinel happened. Seriously though, where this game excels most is with its world building. I was taken back a bit with no waypoint or pressing task given, aside from the grace points that point you off in a general direction of the story. But as you explore and find your own path, you begin to get lost in it, with each biome, vista, and overlook teasing you to explore the unknown. It's such a player-driven experience that makes the journey so personal, with each player being able to trigger cutscenes through different means. And this world is huge, freaking huge. Lack of content is not an issue. But it's done so well. Normally with a game this size you would expect bloat, or countless fetch missions. Even the way the landscape is shaped pushes you to be thorough with all its crags, caves, and dark corners. Even the most curious will miss a lot, but they'll also be rewarded for searching this overwhelmingly dense world. And I found myself actually using the map a lot more than I expected to give me clues as to how I might navigate to a new area, to get around a cliff face or access a deep ravine. Then you have these complex dungeons with so many secrets and paths that are seamlessly integrated within that world that seems to have essentially no discernible linear path to follow. And this opens up even further than previous Souls games with the inclusion of the jump, giving more complexity to finding loot and mysteries and more depth to combat with jump attacks. But no matter how captivating and compelling this world is, with its gorgeous art style, it's still a Souls game at its core, known for its brutal difficulty. Bringing up the discussion, should there be an easy mode? From what I've played, I would say no. Despite the learning curve, the sense of accomplishment you get from the smallest things like, say, solving a puzzle, or finding hidden treasures, or predicting the next boss's animation and defeating them, it's worth the hardship. You're given so many choices and options for your arsenal of weapons and special attacks. Whether you're solely melee or a caster or some type of hybrid, the game throws so many spells and incantations at you, I almost regret choosing a samurai, basically a melee and ranged build. Because there's so much that I've yet to experience with the magic arts. But then again, there's New Game Plus for that. On top of that, you have the ability to summon spirits, like skeletons or wolves, to help distract and damage tough bosses. Or if you run into a boss that has you hitting your head against the wall, you can out-level them by grinding other enemies and return with better gear, better stats. If that isn't enough, you can use stealth or horseback combat in a lot of situations to give you that extra edge, or just summon a friend or two for a bit of help. If you ever wanted to jump into a Souls title, this is your best bet. It's by far the most accessible title, despite what you've heard. At times you will find the combat very challenging, especially in the early game, but it's so rewarding and really adds to the solid gameplay loop. But that's also where it got me. Just when you think you've figured it out, or you get that sense of security, and you think you're a badass, that's just when you're thrown a curveball at every turn, because you come to realize anything could happen and you never really know what's around the next turn. There's an ever-present tension that's always there, and the music really does well with that and sets the tone so well, especially in the legacy dungeons and big set-piece battles. But despite its glowing reviews, the game isn't perfect. I personally really can't complain because I'm playing on the Series X with VRR enabled, but it does have performance issues. I also would have liked a less convoluted co-op system, joining friends into the game. It's a bit of work to play with friends, and network issues are here and there. Those also didn't help. And this one goes out to the community. Stop leaving messages like everywhere, stupid messages, and you put them on levers and everything. It's driving me crazy. But despite its minor flaws here and there, and its almost last-gen feeling load times, I genuinely don't see any other title winning Game of the Year. Yes, I know Starfield comes out this year. It really has potential to be one of the greatest games of this generation, if it keeps delivering for me like it has up until now. It's crazy that sometimes I find myself mentally planning what to tackle in my next sesh. And this is coming from someone that had no intent on picking it up on day one, someone that's not into Souls games. It's such an ambitiously unforgettable, dense, mysterious, fascinating world, full of hundreds of bosses and satisfying combat. Unless you're set on button mashing, yeah, it's just freaking awesome. I seriously would recommend it to anyone that's not afraid to overcome a little adversity and looking for something refreshing, an open world experience. I could easily go on for at least another hour, but this isn't a podcast, so I'm going to leave it up to you. If you're not playing already, make up your own mind, jump in. But before you do that, tell me what you think about Elden Ring. What build are you rocking? Or what other game are you playing? Do you really think it's Game of the Year material, or do you think the Metacritic is a bit skewed? That's going to wrap it up for today's vid, because let's be real, we'd all rather be playing Elden Ring. Thanks for watching and supporting the channel. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm out.